Hello, I am Rick Ganz, founder and director of the Faber Institute. I want to explain to you the idea behind Series 14 of the Night School, which I have named Angels, a Forgotten Friendship. More and more I perceive, and no doubt you also, how we are being overwhelmed by cultural and social disorders. We just do not have answers for the problems we face, right? We are not helpless, hardly, but we are out of our depth. Let me explain what I mean. I recognize two temptations, one or both of which we seem to find ourselves unwilling to resist. Either we withdraw, getting ourselves out of the fray, guarding fiercely what we have, practicing a habit of distrust, allowing ourselves to become suspicious of others, rather than growing in discernment and kindness about how hard it has become for all of us to do human being well. Our withdrawals guarantee that we will grow more and more blind to the reality that other people face, ensuring that we will misconstrue their actions. We will not understand because our distancing has made it impossible for us to do so. Or we surrender our freedom, all the hard work of it, the taking responsibility, the embarrassing revelations of our smallness of heart and personal failures, excusing ourselves from Christ's highest level command to practice loving our enemies. God, by the way, has never commanded us to like our enemies. In this temptation, we actively desire to enable someone else's freedom to do our work for us. We find ourselves wanting and empowering bullies, whether political parties or corporations or social cliques or special interest groups or authoritarian churches or tyrants, whose greatest glory is to get us to hand over to them our freedom. God save us, we may prayerfully exclaim. But saving is what in fact God does with our cooperation and what God has done from the beginning of our existence. One of God's most precious names is Emmanuel, meaning God with us. And as I heard a wise pastor say recently, God gets close enough to know. And one of the most widely attested ways that God is true to his name Emmanuel is the angels, through whom God sends help, and most importantly, through friendship with whom we discover God's awareness of us. The biblical record everywhere highlights the presence of angels and describes their activities. Never do they withdraw, becoming self-protective. Never do they surrender their freedom to anyone, but find their freedom in serving God alone. Like us, they are created beings. Like us, they were created for a reason. We do well to ask in both cases, for what reason exactly? Friendship with the angels and reliance on them to help him in his work was a central feature of the Jesuit spirituality of St. Peter Faber, who is our guest in part 4 of this series. Series 14 is about seeking a more sufficient way for each of us to begin to understand the angels, and for the sake of us discovering a forgotten friendship, which God intended us to have and to count on. Welcome to Series 14 of the Night School, offered once a month, January through May.